Stormy here with Stormy Says. I recently just came back from Grenada and I was blown away. You should definitely go if you have the opportunity to go, but before you go, I would like to help you share some useful, I would like to help you by sharing some useful information about what I learned when I traveled to Grenada. So, I don't have all that intro music, I don't have the flip and the music and the I don't have that yet. I'll have it soon, maybe. I don't know what kind of channel this will be, but I really just want to share information with people, you folks out there. And I like to share information. I like to tell people things that I've discovered or researched. Um, yeah, and I hope it can help. First things first. Number one, you need a passport. If you're coming from the U.S., you need a passport. I, not me personally, but my family member who was going with me, my mother, I took her to Grenada for her birthday. I thought it'd be a nice getaway. You know, COVID has been brutal on a lot of us, and I thought it'd be nice to get away. We are both vaccinated. That makes also a difference if you're going to Grenada. I believe if you are not vaccinated, you will have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. You might want to check their website. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's 2 weeks. If you are vaccinated, you have to do the following. Like I was saying, have a passport. So the reason why I said it was difficult was because unfortunately my mother did not realize that her passport was expired. She realized this though in May. We were leaving at the end of June. Now normally it wouldn't take that long to get a passport renewed, right? I renewed my passport. I think I sent it out in November, and I was going to be flying out in January. This is when I was supposed to go to Grenada in 2020, but that fell through for certain reasons. And so I had a JetBlue ticket. I canceled my flight. I was able to have that money sit there. I think they call it like blue credits or something. Um, I decided I'm going to Grenada. I had been asked several times by my second mom, who is a native Grenadian. Shout out to you know who. She had been asking me for about 7 years now to go to Grenada, and I just got around to it. I'm a bit slow with those type of things, but you know, I eventually get to it. So I paid for 2 tickets to go to Grenada, not thinking and not checking to see if my mother's passport was in good standing. It was not. Mine was because that's what I was saying. Sorry, jumping around. I applied for my passport in, let's say, November of 2019. Yeah. Or was it 2021 I was supposed to go to Grenada? Actually, I think it's 2020 I was supposed to go to Grenada with someone else. I applied for my passport, that means in November of 2020, and I got it January. I got it after I was supposed to fly out. I canceled that trip. Like I said, I got the JetBlue credits. But I got it after because I, not paying attention and not thinking, comprehension, I sent them the same passport photo that I already, you know how you get two? I sent them the second one from when I took it like 12 years ago. Don't do that. Go and take another one when you are renewing your passport. Lesson learned. So I had to send it back. Well, I had to send the picture out, and I took my time because I knew I wasn't going. So I think I already canceled my ticket. I'll just take my time. But I think I would have gotten it relatively quickly had I followed the directions and put a new photo. I probably would have gotten it like, what is that, November, December? 2 months, which I don't think is bad. I understand people get it faster in the past before COVID, but there's a pandemic going on. So my mom realized that her passport was not valid, was no longer valid, it was expired. So therefore we needed to apply. Now this is in May. We realized it. Mind you, we're flying out in June, the end of June. So we send it all out. Within a week, my mom gets it filled out. Sooner than that, like a couple of days, she gets it filled out. She gets her picture taken. She mails it out. I check like a week after or 2 weeks after, and I see that it got received, they're processing it, and then it was just torture. Just torture. Because, yeah, for like 6 weeks, we just didn't know what was going on. It was being processed. We didn't know where. And then when you call, so you have to call at like, I think the phone line turns off at 10. You gotta call at like 9:30 at night. That's what worked for me. Yeah, you gotta wait 3 hours. But if you call anytime between the time they open and like 6 o'clock, you're gonna get a busy signal because so many people are calling. But by 9:30, people going to bed. They relaxing. Not me. Not me and my mother. We were calling. We called at least, both of us called at least twice. And the first time I called, they said I could possibly get it like, not my mom could possibly get it, but like 4 days, 3 days before she was supposed to fly out because she needed to fly here to New York to then fly with me to Grenada because we were all taking the same flight with my lovely second mom. So we were all taking the same flight, Monday morning, early flight. We're excited, but we needed that passport. So my mom wrote emails. I went online, I went on YouTube, and I was trying to see what are people saying about passports. And there's this one woman, I will put her link in the description. Is that what people say? That's what I have to say? Okay, I'm going to put her link in the description. She makes videos about immigration, traveling, when you are not a native citizen to that country. She's very helpful. And somewhere in her videos, a lot of people were commenting and saying their experiences with their passport. And one lovely woman said, I contacted my congressperson, council member. I'm sorry, not council member, congressperson. So, what did I do? I Googled my mom's councilperson in the great old state of Virginia, Newport News, Virginia. And I said, Mom, we should write him a letter and ask him if he can help us get a speedy, push up this receiving of the passport that you need to go to Grenada, because you can't go to Grenada without the passport, So, I don't know what happened, but my mom filled out a form. They sent her a form, and she filled it out. Turnaround day was Monday. She filled it out. She sent it right back, and the next day, I'm not even exaggerating. The next day, Monday comes, and her passport is approved. They're printing it out. It was still ahead, but I just want to be clear that both my mom and I were very thankful, grateful, humble, blessed, whatever word you want to attach to it, when someone looks out for you and the universe, God, whoever you believe in, conspires and helps you with this. Now, granted, this was not a life or death emergency. I know someone who just had to get an emergency passport for personal reasons, and they were able to get an appointment, but that was because someone had died. So this is a message to all of you out there that have put in a passport renewal, or you're getting your first passport and you have traveling, you have tickets, and you're going somewhere. Before you buy tickets, get that passport. And I think you're going to need at least like 3 months, because May, June, right, 6 weeks. I have read stories on YouTube of people waiting 2 months, 3 months, like, it's quite possible. But there might be an in with your congressperson. That's why you should know who they are. Lesson learned for Stormy. Know who your congressperson is. And reach out when you need something. Not just when you're going on a trip for pleasure and relaxation, which I fully believe that I myself deserve, and so did my mother. The last vacation I went on was, it turns me 11 years ago, when my best friend got married in Jamaica. That was the last like vacation. I could count going to DR as a vacation too, but it was so short. I didn't get to spend time with my dad. I spent a little bit of time with him. Next time I'm going soon. I am staying at least a week. Like, I think you have to do at least 7 days. Some places 2 weeks. Grenada definitely do 2 weeks because you are not going to be able to see everything in 4 or 5 days, obviously. But you at least want to see what you can. And I stayed 9 days with my mom, and we stayed in beautiful places. We stayed in a beautiful house, I think in Belmont, right by St. George's. I think that's in St. George's, and it's right off of the Grand Anise Beach. I think it's ANSE. Beautiful beach. There's beautiful people there. There's resorts along that part. Stay at the Coyoba. I enjoyed my stay at the Coyoba. I think I'm saying it wrong. Maybe it's Coyoba. Coyaba. I'll put it in the description. But sorry, back to this. Very important. Okay, so you need your passport. If you're in the U.S., you're going to be waiting quite some time for your passport, so you might want to file that now if you're going to Grenada or anywhere else. Grenada has several tasks you have to complete in order to just get on the flight to come. Before you get on the flight, the stuff you have to do. You have to, one, pay for a PCR test that you take when you get to Grenada. It's $150 US. One. But see, the thing is, you have to also take a PCR test to get on the flight to come back to America. If you're American. So you are spending $300 on PCR tests. Keep that in mind. Budget. Yeah. The next thing is you pay for the PCR test, then you have to get travel authorization at their website. Travel authorization. See this? You see this lovely page? See this? Ministry of Health Grenada. Fully vaccinated traveler defined as the following. Apply for travel authorization. This is travel authorization. I'm sorry. This is travel authorization. Dun, 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 dun. You have to fill out an application. It's 6 pages. It's online. And they're going to want you to show proof that you paid for the PCR test. You have to put yourself and whoever you're traveling with, like if you're going with like your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, cousin, aunt, partner, whoever you're going with. Each person going to Grenada from America has to fill out this travel authorization. I assume this for people all over the world. In order to get into Grenada, you have to be authorized. So you have to do that before you get on the plane. 7 days at least before you get on the plane, because they require, even when you're vaccinated, you to stay in there's a certain term they use for a safe house. Not a safe house that you're probably thinking of, like to stay in hotels, apartments, places that are authorized by Grenada to hold people until they are cleared because they took the PCR test. Until their negative PCR test comes back, they have to be able to stay somewhere. So that's the other thing. You have to pay to stay somewhere for at least 3 days until you get a negative test result, right? So what that means is you cannot stay with family at a family's house unless you have a child with you or a person over the age of 65, elderly. You might want to quote me on that. Remember, my second mom is Grenadian. She walked me through a lot of this, so a lot of information, I'll be quite honest, I did not read. That's why you're going to go to the Ministry of Health of Grenada, and you're going to read about what you need and what your options are. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so PCR test, $300. Travel authorization form, they're going to ask you for proof of the PCR test. You have to upload a picture of your receipt that you paid for the PCR test. You also have to provide your passport. I was using my mom's old passport number until she got the new one because I had to do all these things. So you have the PCR, and you have to bring the PCR test. Okay, so you also have to take a PCR test before you get on the flight. Well, where I live, you go to CityMD, free. Again, did not breathe, and I did not realize I had to take another PCR test. Poor thing. I thought the one that I took at the airport was enough. No, I had to take one in New York. So I had to rush the city MD, and you have to do it within 72 hours. No more. So don't get it whatever 72 plus 24 is, 4 days before. Get it 3 days within 3 days. But you need to get it on, let's say, that third day. Because you need 1 day for them to test it, right? And give you the results. So you need 3 days. Well, you need 1 day to test, 1 day of results, to 1 day to test, 1 day to get the results, I don't know, analyzed, and then to get the results. 3 days. So that means the day before, 3 days before you're supposed to leave, you need to go get a PCR test. And they turned people away who didn't have a PCR test. Just letting you know. They were at the airport, JetBlue, ready to go, suitcases, and they had to leave because they didn't follow directions. I lucked out. Anyway, yeah. Oh, you have to pay for the accommodation, so you have to show that you at least have like 3 days worth of hotel stays in a receipt, like physical receipt. Like you gotta upload the receipt plus the PCR test result. Sorry, plus the receipt that you paid to have the PCR test taken when you get to Grenada. You bring your PCR results of the test you take before the 72-hour test. You bring that with you because they want to check that. It has to be on the paper or on your phone. I don't think they mind as long as you match. Because they check your passport, they check your ticket, they check your travel authorization form because you have to print that out too. Bring it with you. You have to show that because they really do authorize you. Like you fill out the 6 pages. I'm assuming they look at the receipt, they call the place, and they say, oh, you're approved. You can travel to Grenada. Here is your proof of travel. You bring that with you. You bring those, what is that? 1, 2, 3. Those 3 items, passport, besides your ticket, that's 4. So ticket, passport, PCR test, the 72-hour one, and proof of travel authorization. Got it? Okay. Then you get on the plane, you're happy, you're excited. 4 hours, I flew JetBlue. It was pretty quick. It was packed. I don't think there was like maybe 1 row of empty seats. People are going places. I get to Grenada, you get off, it's beautiful, it's warm, it's hot. Then you wait in the line, yay! Because it's customs. But before you get to customs, you gotta take that PCR test that you paid the $150 for. So, you're waiting in line. Now, there is a form that you're supposed to fill out when you get to the airport. They're supposed to give it to you. In my case, they didn't give it to us. Whatever happened, happened. When we get to the table where the gentleman is checking all of your information before you can go take the PCR test, he says you have to fill out these forms. Mind you, we were like some of the last people in the line, and then we had to fill out the paper, so we were kind of like, oh. I was over all the forms. My mom was kind of like, oh, okay, we'll fill out the form. I was over it because 2 weeks we've been trying to fill out forms, passports. Again, I'm thankful. I'm just saying, have your stuff together. I even had, I'll show you. I took this with me. You know, you can't see it really. It's like I don't know, it's a divider that you put in a binder, but I use it sometimes. I put my passport on one side with all my stuff. I put my mom's on the other side with all her stuff. And I used this to make sure we had all our stuff together. Mind you, when you get to the airport, if you fly JetBlue, and it's a crazy day, like everyone's traveling internationally on a Monday, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning or 5:30 in the morning, you're going to sign in at these little like kiosks. That's a whole other story. I have to make a whole other video about that. I have to add that in at some point because I was helping people. JetBlue, I would like to be paid for my services and my time. I would also like a refund on my ticket because we waited like 2 hours. We were supposed to fly out at 8 a.m. We didn't fly out till like 9:30 because we were waiting on other flight people or something like that. I think I should get refunded a little money because I can't keep taking. So I'm just saying. Anyway, you get to Grenada, you're online, you fill out the form. I forgot what the name of the form is. You fill out your customs form on the flight. So make sure you have all that information accessible. So if you have a phone and you put it on airplane mode, you should probably like download it as a PDF so you can like look at it because you don't have access to the internet. No Google Drive, unless you have Google Drive offline or something. Anyway, yes, taking the PCR test. You take the PCR test, and then you are directed to go through customs, go get your bags, and go straight into a taxi and go to wherever you are to be quarantining. You cannot stop anywhere. You cannot stop to get food. You cannot do any of that. You get in the cab and you go where you're supposed to go. You can get in trouble. You get fined a lot of money. And I don't want to get fined. I don't want to. And this is Grenada. I was like, I'm going to give you money anyway because I'm coming. I'm staying. You're going to welcome me with open arms. I'm not giving nobody else money. No more money. But what I'm paying for in food and lodging and entertainment purposes and tips and all that, yes. But I'm not paying no fines. Mm-mm. I'm going to follow the rules. You got it. We get to our lovely apartment. It was a beautiful apartment. I will find out the location and tell you and the name. It had air conditioning. It had a kitchen. We could cook. It had pots and pans. We did not cook. We had lovely, lovely Grenadians that are related to my second mom who brought us food, oil down. That is Grenadians' national dish. I don't know how to describe it, but it is just an explosion of flavors in your mouth. It's turmeric, it's the curry powder, it's coconut milk. Get someone that uses fresh coconut milk and fresh coconut. It has dumplings, it has saltfish, it has pigtail, I mean. Some people don't cook it with pork, some people only cook chicken and saltfish, some people only make it with saltfish. I believe there's a vegetarian version. It has carrots, it has breadfruit, it has sweet potatoes, it has callaloo or spinach, and it is delicious. It is so good. And it's just, when you get it when you're there, it's different. It's different. It's different than getting it in New York. It's just different there because the fruit, everything is just delicious in Grenada. I didn't have one bad meal. I mean, I didn't eat like everywhere, but I didn't have one bad meal. I went to places that were 4-star restaurants. I went to places that were like you're driving up the road, somebody's cooking right there. They got a little like restaurant. It's open. I love that. There's the beauty of Grenada. You can stop on the road and get a beer wherever. You can get some grilled chicken, barbecue chicken, potato salad, breadfruit, plantains, fresh tomatoes that were like so delicious. I haven't tasted tomatoes like that in New York. I've had good tomatoes in New York, but I've never tasted like Jamaica was the same thing. The food was delicious. I didn't get sick from the food. DR had delicious food, but I think I got sick from DR food. I don't know what happened, but I came back with a crazy stomachache, like a crazy stomach virus bug. Had to go get medicine. Was not eating for like 2 weeks because I couldn't hold anything. The Grenada, the mango, that papaya, the garlic. My second mom's sister is a beautiful woman. She cooked for us, cleaned, washed my clothes. Beautiful lady. Made the best split pea soup I've ever had in my life. She's vegetarian, so no meat. She made like just delicious food that I wouldn't have had anywhere else. I just wouldn't have had it anywhere else. She made me oatmeal with all this fresh fruit on top. Like, I never thought to put oranges on top of my oatmeal. Never thought about that. And she has a garden of herbs, like, it's around her house. Plus, she has the, not breadfruit, but she has the coconut tree and something else. The orange tree, and I'm missing something. Delicious. Delicious. Just delicious. Oh. Yes. So those are the things I wanted to tell you before you go to Grenada. Whatever you do after that is on you. But you need to have the 72-hour PCR test. You need to have your passport. You need to have your plane ticket, obviously. You need to have a place to stay to quarantine for at least 3 days. And you have to prove that you have that with your receipt. This is for people who are vaccinated, by the way. If you're not vaccinated, I don't know. They probably got some other rules for you. There's probably a 10-page travel authorization you got to fill out. I don't know. Mine's was 6. Figure that out. You have to pay $300 for the PCR test. You have to take the PCR test when you get to Grenada and before you leave. And you have to get that within 72 hours also. We went to a local clinic and it was crazy. It was a show, you know. Actually, no, it wasn't. I'm exaggerating. It really wasn't. It was just a long wait. That's all. And people were not happy about it because it was hot. And then we were all in this one small building. And it's like, well, if you're worried about getting COVID, we shouldn't be in a building like this together in the heat. But then you couldn't stand outside. If you stood outside, then you would have never, you would not hear them call your name to go take the test because they didn't have an intercom outside. So you had to kind of stand inside. It was a lot. But anyway, got it done, got a PCR test so I can get back on my JetBlue returning flight to New York. JFK. Anyway, folks, this is a video by Stormy. Stormy says, I don't know how to do these videos. I know it's supposed to be tap, subscribe, follow, all. I don't know. If you'd like to follow me, follow me. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. I'll have more videos on how to get through this crazy thing called life, what I'm learning. Maybe I'll do an intro video. I don't know. But yes. Happy traveling. Be safe. Be good. Be awesome. Bye.